Ladies and gentlemen, I am very pleased and very privileged to welcome to the programme Hugh Cornwell. Hugh, it's great to be able to talk to you. Thank you so much for sparing me the time.
No worries. It's if it can be fitted in, I'll fit it in. You know.
Now, many people know you from the Stranglers, obviously, but there is so much more that you have done since leaving the Stranglers. I mean, I've just been reading some of the things and some of the music that you've produced, and it's incredible, isn't it? I mean, some of the guys you work with, Tony Visconti, it must have been great to be able to work with these people.
Well, I mean, some of them, some of the producers I've worked with since I left the band. Some of them I knew when I was in the band. I mean, Tony mixed an album for us, the one that we made in Belgium, and so he'd recorded "Strange Little Girl" for us before that. So I'd met Tony and got on well with him then, and then I kept bumping into him, and he said, "Oh, it's that time we made a record, isn't it?" And so we acted on that suggestion. And Laurie Latham, he'd produced Oral Sculpture, so that's another case of me carrying on an introduction I had with these people, with those two, while I was in the band in the 80s, fortunately. So I mean, it's but some of them were completely new ideas, like Liam Watson, and then if you're talking about purely producers and technical staff, and then there's Steve Albini. But Steve hates to be called a producer. He likes to be called a facilitator, because he hates the idea of being a producer. And if anyone calls him that, he treats it as an insult, believe it or not. But I love working with Steve. He's got a great sense of humour, and he drinks all day long in the studio. He drinks chili flavoured tea. He makes tea out of chilies and drinks it all day long. What? It's amazing.
Yeah, that sounds interesting. You have an incredible career. I mean, you were recording solo stuff while still with the Stranglers, but not only that, you've also done some acting as well, haven't you?
Well, I mean, my acting career is very small and was very brief. I was fortunate enough to be friends with some members of the comic strip, and Nigel Planer, etc. And they invited me to act in a couple of their films. And then at one stage in the 80s, I had a desire to act more, but you're at the prey of casting directors. You go for an audition, and you either get it or you don't. And I didn't seem to present a very good impression of myself at auditions, so I very rarely got stuff. So I soon realised that for some reason or other it just wasn't for me. So I cut to the quick and gave up those ambitions. But I'm still very much involved with cinema. I love the idea of filmmaking, and it's a very different process from making a record, making music, and so I still got and I do a podcast called Mr. DeMille FM, which betrays my love of cinema, and we put a show up every month. We used to do more, but I'm running out of time to prepare them. And occasionally I get the chance to interview somebody in the business, which is fabulous, because I get really excited about that, because I can ask them things. If it's an actor, you could ask, I saw that film of yours, and you can ask them, and it's fascinating to... I mean, rather like what you must get when you speak to musicians.
Yes.
You're getting the chance to get the inside story sort of thing. So I'm a bit of a fan like that with regards to cinema.
In 2016, you collaborated with John Cooper Clarke, who's a character.
Yeah.
I think he's an amazing character. What was it like working with
Yeah, well,
him?
he's a very interesting poet. You know, and he's got a very, very, very good baritone voice, and not many people knew about that until we made that record together. Lovely guy, and we got mutual admiration for each other's work, and it was a real pleasure working with John.
Yeah, I mean, MacArthur Park, the way that turned out, just incredible, isn't it?
That was that took 6 months to prepare the music, to do the track for that. It took me and my engineer 6 months to make that. On and off, you know, but it was a lot of time, long time coming, that. But, yeah, quite proud of that. I know pride is a vice, a sin, not something to be... Pride is not something to be proud of.
Yes.
But, yeah, it was a good achievement, finishing that.
And then in 2018, when signed to Sony, you released Monster and sang about, I mean, have I got this list right? I'm not sure whether I've got it right. Evel Knievel, Lou Reed, Hedy Lamarr, Benito Mussolini, Phil Silvert. I mean, they're a slightly diverse group of people, that.
And my mother's in there too.
Oh, right. I didn't know your mum was in there.
Yeah, La Grande Dame. She was quarter French, so it's a nod to her roots, and a sort of an ode to her when she passed away. I thought it would be nice to have a tribute to her. So, in fact, that was the first song that I wrote for that album, actually, and it's from that I got the idea to do some songs about other people that interested me.
Now, I'm going to go a bit left field here. I hope you don't mind. Cricket.
Yeah.
I am, at this very moment, DJing at the T10 European Cricket Championships here in Spain. What do you think of T10? What do you think of it? Have you ever seen it?
No, I've never watched a T10 game. It took me quite a while to get used to 2020.
Yeah, and
I've sort of got used to that now. But I don't think. I mean, I might call me old school, but I really think we don't need any more formats to. You know, we love cricket, so why do we need any more formats? I'm not a big fan of the 100.
No.
You know, I can give or take that, and I don't see. You know, Test cricket, great. One day I was on a bit in two minds about, but the last World Cup proved that you could still get an amazing game. And 2020 I can embrace, but I just haven't got the time. It's rather like the flurry of stuff that's on TV, films and series that are on TV. How does anyone have the time to keep up with everything? You know, and it's the same with cricket. I don't want to spread my attention too thinly on all these different. And this may have happened to you. You're watching a game, and suddenly you forget which format you're watching.
Yeah, I suppose
so.
You
Your
could do that.
expectations change. You know what I mean? I mean, it's getting a bit ridiculous. So no, I'm sorry. I don't have any experience of the 10. Is it good fun?
It's brilliant fun because it is so fast. But what's really fascinating
about
fast,
it... Yeah, it must be it's half the length of a 2020 game, right?
Yeah, 60 balls.
So about 90 minutes.
Yes.
Blimey, you don't have much time to get your eye in if you're batting, do you?
No. And the only good thing about it is it's brought so many countries in from Europe. There are now 35 different countries that take part in this.
Well, that's great. I mean, that's got to be of enormous benefit to everybody, I think. Mm. I mean, the showing that Netherlands did in the last, World Cup was incredible, and anything that promotes people's interest in the game has got to be of value, isn't it?
Oh yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Now, going back to music, you have an album which is out at the moment called Moments of Madness, and
yes,
obviously we've been listening to it because it's a blooming good album, but it's very diverse. You can't say that it's that type of music or that type of music or that type of music. Is this something you embrace, that you don't want to be pigeonholed in any sort of particular bracket of music?
Well, it's not intentional. I mean, I just, excuse me, I get my ideas for songs, and then I go into the studio with my engineer, just the two of us, and mess around. And what comes out, you know, and the ideas get formed into songs, sculpted into songs in the studio. You know, I don't pre-write them as I used to with the Stranglers. But you had to do it then because when we recorded albums in those days, you went in for like 3 weeks, and that was the amount of time you had. And so it was limited, you know, what you could do. And so it ended up becoming like a painting by numbers exercise. So it was a very boring experience recording then. But nowadays you don't have those constraints, and you know, I'll work on a song until it's finished, or until I get bored and move on to the next one. So the way that's perceived, that you've perceived Moments of Madness, that it's a complete different bunch of different styles. It's totally happened by chance. You know, there's no plan. I really don't know. I don't really know what style it is. You know, it's just me. That's it. That's all it is. You know, and it's the songs I've come up with. And to tell you the truth, Lee, I'm really only doing it to please myself. You know, if other people like it too, that's great. You know, that's fabulous, because it means I'm killing 2 birds with 1 stone. I'm keeping myself busy and entertaining myself basically by coming up with these songs and recording them. Great fun, and if other people are enjoying it too, well then that's a double bonus. That's an extra bonus for me. So it's not I'm not really trying to do something to attract a certain audience or whatever. It's just what I do, and I try and write simple songs. I grew up in a time. They say that I've heard many people say that you are a slave to what you listened to when you were a teenager, and I think that's very true. And people, God knows what teenagers are listening to now. Well, but it's going to stay with them for the rest of their lives.
Which is sad.
And I was very lucky, because when I was a teenager, I had a very, very rich tapestry of music to listen to, and so I'm stuck with that for the rest of my days, and that's obviously going to influence me. And I grew up in a time with songs you could sing along to, catchy melodies and stuff. And because I liked singing along with the song, you know, and then after it had finished and the next day I woke up, it would come in, the same song would come into my head, and I'd sing along with it, and I enjoyed that. That was a form of pleasure. So that's what I'm about, you know. And so what I do is, that's the primary objective, you know. If the songs that are written are like that for me the next day or a few days, then job done, you know. And if other people are catching on to it too, that's great as well.
Do you find when you walk in the studio that you have a song in your head and you know how that's going to sound, or is it an organic process where you go in and you start and the song sort of grows in its own way? And you think, yeah.
Well, both things happen. I mean, coming out of the wilderness, we did that in less than a day, you know, because I went in and I more or less knew exactly what it was going to be, what it was going to sound like, and what it was going to be saying. Had all the lyrics done, and so that was very quick. And yet, something like going to another one on that record. The next one, which is Red Rose, I mean, that took quite a while to, that was the latter description you gave, you know, that took a while to form itself. So you get both types, really.
What about Lasagna? Because I think that's a great track. I really like that.
Oh, well, Lasagna, I mean, Lasagna's a real, I'm so glad you mentioned that, because I'd like to tell you something about that. That really is a true story. It really is.
Wow.
There really is a lasagna being made by an Italian couple from Bologna, about 500 meters from where I am speaking to you from. They're based in Mexico, and they make this fantastic lasagna. And I'd been sampling it, this homemade stuff from them for years. And then just by chance, I had a couple of drinks, and I just had it, and I said, I'm going to write a song called Lasagna about your lasagna. And they laughed at me. They thought I was making it. They thought I was just joking. And then when I did it, they couldn't believe it, and they liked the song, of course. And I should be going along on a Saturday for my lasagna in the evening. So that's a real live story. Now that grew out of just the word lasagna. Just saying it suggested a beat and a rhythm, like a Bo Diddley type thing to me.
That's it, yeah.
And so that was very easily written. Words and music. It was very easily written, but the arrangement was very, very hard to pin down. And I recorded about 3 arrangements of it that didn't work. And then finally, we hit on the one with the hand claps. And suddenly it made all the difference.
Yeah.
They've all got different stories,
Yeah.
Probably every songwriter will say that every song, the genesis of every song is a completely different story.
What about touring? Do you still want to tour? Do you still enjoy touring?
Say that again. Sorry, you were cutting in and out. It's the signal.
Ah, right. Okay. What about touring? Do you still enjoy touring? Do you still enjoy sort of being live on stage?
Oh yeah. I mean, there's nothing wrong with that. As long as I can still play. I mean, I'm getting a bit of arthritis, I have to say, in my fingers, my left hand, and it's not bothersome at the moment, but it could become bothersome. At which point, I guess I'd have to get a guitarist in to instruct. He'd have to play what I ask him to play, so that I'd sing. But I'd feel a bit naked not playing the guitar. I'm so used to playing guitar and singing at the same time now that it would be a strange thing to do, to feel strange. But if that's what I had to do, I guess that's what I'd have to do. But at the moment, thank God, it's such a pleasure to be healthy enough to be able to still do it. And it takes quite a bit of energy and also I won't say determination. It's a lot of it's an endurance. It takes a lot of endurance to do it, especially when you're doing an hour 45, 2 hours.
Wow.
2 hours in an evening.
Yeah.
It's an endurance exercise. So
it's a lot of commitment.
Yeah, I mean, long may it last. And
Yes.
as long as I'm getting the offers in from places asking me to go and play there, and as long as I don't lose money, I'll be happy to do it.
Right, I've got one more question, which is a real anorak question, but I've got to ask it. You used to always play a Telecaster. Then you changed to the Gibson. What do you play now? Or is there just no particular...
Did I change? When did I change? I've never changed from...
Really?
I always play it. Yeah, I don't... Where have you seen photos of me playing another guitar?
Well, actually, I haven't. That's what made me ask. It was something which I read somewhere.
Ah, you must have read it somewhere. Well, it's totally wrong. It's a wrong report. I'm a die-hard Fender Telecaster man, and I've never really got on with playing any other. I don't like Gibsons generally because they're much heavier than Fenders to wear, and I have to think of my back, and I've never got on with the weight, those dead weights of those Les Pauls. God, they're just so heavy to wear. and to carry, because you do wear a guitar, you know, you're not just carrying it, you are actually wearing it for 2 hours, and so the weight of it is very important. So, and the nice thing about I've got some Mexican Telecasters, and the nice thing about them, apart from the fact that they actually sound very good, is that they're a bit lighter than the American Fenders.
Yeah.
So it's very useful for rehearsing, because I can use a Mexican Tele to rehearse. It doesn't make any difference when you're rehearsing, so that makes a difference. But for the shows, I'm still on my Fender Tele that I've had, well, since the mid-'80s. You know, I've still got the same one. It's a late mid-'70s Tele, been customised for my style, and that's what I stuck to. No, so I'd like to ban state that it's a myth that I don't play Telecasters anymore.
Great, because mine sat next to me here, and it was getting upset when I was was looking at this. Look.
Yeah, no, don't worry. I'm still a Fender Telecaster fanatic.
Good. Look, Hugh, it's been an absolute blast talking to you. Thank you so much for your time. Thank you so much for all the information that you have quite freely and quite openly given us. I just hope you carry on creating music like Moments of Madness. Brilliant album.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I mean, down near your way, I mean, I do know there's a festival in Gibraltar. Gibraltar has a festival.
Yes.
A rock festival every year, and I've never been invited to play that, but I'd love to do it at some stage if I get invited. And hopefully, you never know, I might turn up in somewhere else in Spain playing.
Well, when you do,
you never know.
Let me know, because I'll be there, because it'd be great to see you and hear some of these tracks.
Okay, well, thanks again. Thanks for the invitation. It's been a pleasure.
It has. Thank you very much, sir. Take care.
Take care, Lee. Bye.
Bye-bye.